Hi, it's me, the guy who really hopes this video does well because this sweater was like 40 bucks. A Christmas Story is a 1983 comedy film narrated and co-written by humorist Jean Shepherd. It's based on stories from Shepherd's book In God We Trust, All Others Pay Cash, which is in turn based on semi-autobiographical childhood stories that Shepherd told as a radio host. Shepherd also has an on-camera cameo in the film as this guy.
The line ends here. It begins there.
It's one of the most beloved Christmas films ever made. Some networks play it for all 24 hours of Christmas Day.
24 hours of A Christmas Story, Christmas Eve at 9, part of TNT Winter Break.
If you've clicked on this video, I'm sure you've seen it. But what a lot of people don't know is that there exist 6 sequels and prequels to this movie, and also a musical adaptation, all of which I watched and am here to talk about today. Don't know if anyone will care to listen, but I had the idea for this video a few years back when I first found out about all these sequels. But every following holiday season, I remembered the idea too late to get it done in time for Christmas. Until this year. I think it's my year, Henderson. I think it's finally my year. Emphasis on I think. If the date on this video is before Christmas Day 2025, you should be very proud of both me and my busted ass laptop for pulling it off. Now, to kind of keep you on your toes, I'm not gonna discuss all these films and specials in order of release, but instead in chronological order in regard to the age of the main character and Jean Shepherd's self-insert character, Ralphie Parker. And fittingly, that has us start with the only one of these movies I would genuinely recommend, which is, of course, the original 1983's A Christmas Story. Again, pretty much everyone's seen this movie, and everything that could be said about it has been. I don't think I have anything unique to add, but on the off chance you haven't seen it and you're just watching this video because you think I'm really hot, it tells the story of 9-year-old Ralphie Parker growing up in the late 1930s, who wants nothing more than to receive a Red Ryder Carbine Action BB gun for Christmas. Jean Shepherd narrates the film as adult Ralphie recounting his memories of trying to stay well-behaved.
Only I didn't say fudge. I said the word. The big one. The queen mother of dirty words. The F-dash-dash-dash word. What did you say?
And several other unrelated antics involving his family and friends that occurred that holiday season. Despite taking place in the 30s, I feel that this is a film anyone who's ever been a child can relate to on some level. We all remember being an age where the stakes of our objectively simple lives still felt life or death. And Shepherd coming in to describe such dramatic childhood thoughts with an adult vocabulary and sense of humor, it just works so well.
I double dog dare ya!
Now it was serious. A double dog dare. What else was left but a triple dare you? And finally, the coup de grace of all dares, the sinister triple dog dare.
I remember watching this movie at a sleepover when I was like 9, and one of my friends said that the tongue stuck to the pole scene really freaked him out. So he asked another friend's mom who was hosting the sleepover if he could use his DS during that scene, you know, to distract him. But I knew he was fucking lying. He just wanted to play Pokemon Platinum. I lost touch with that friend, but then learned later from another friend that in high school he got really into hentai. The old Vespa Queen snatched waist to hentai pipeline. These movies are about childhood memories, so I'm including mine. But yeah, I love pretty much everything about this movie, except at the very end, Ralphie and his family are eating at a Chinese restaurant after their Christmas turkey was destroyed, and the staff of the restaurant sing to them like this.
Take the whole with power of glory.
Imagine struggling with pronunciation while learning a second language. You know, for a long time, I kind of let this scene slide just because I love the rest of the movie so much. But when I think about how many people probably learned from this movie that this was a way they could make fun of Asian people, it just kind of sucks. I immediately forget after that though, because the movie's ending I just love so much. It's after Ralphie's gone to sleep, so there's no narration because it's just a moment between his parents that he didn't witness. His dad points out how beautiful the snow is, and the mom comes over and they both just silently watch it together. We cut to Ralphie asleep with the BB gun and hear Shepard's final narration.
Next to me in the blackness lay my oiled blue steel beauty. The greatest Christmas gift I had ever received or would ever receive. Gradually, I drifted off to sleep, pranging ducks on the wing and getting off spectacular hip shots.
I actually misremembered that narration happening before the scene of the parents watching the snow, and I actually think the way I remembered it might have worked even better, but it doesn't matter. I still think this movie's a masterpiece, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend. Now, before we talk about the movies that take place after A Christmas Story, I wanted to first talk about an adaptation of it. See, in 2009, there premiered a stage musical adaptation of the film, which was later adapted into a live special on Fox in 2017. And I have to talk about this special because prior to its release in 2014, when I was 14, I was in a community theater production of this musical. Here's a video of that, and a picture maybe. So keep that in mind as I'm reviewing this thing. Most of the musical numbers in it, my malleable 14-year-old brain was forced to listen to 6 nights a week for like 4 months. So I don't think that I could really offer an opinion on any of them, just that they're all still in there.
Ralphie to the rescue, whoa, when you're a wimp, do-do-do-do-do-do. Somewhere hovering over Indiana.
Hey, it's a major award. I want a major award. Fun story from that time in my life. If you don't know, it's considered very bad luck to say the title of the Shakespeare play Macbeth while in theater. And 14-year-old me found it very funny how seriously even the adults in that production took this superstition. So I would say it over and over and over again to kind of be a little stinker and annoy people. And it got to the point that the director felt the need to scold me privately and blame a bunch of technical things that were going wrong in the production on me. So I did stop, but still to this day I find it a little weird how seriously that was taken. Speaking on the Fox version though, as much as I'm fond of a lot of the songs, I'm not sure telling this story as a musical necessarily improves it. Because a big appeal of the original movie to me is how sort of messy and realistic the world it depicts is. And I just feel a musical version kind of loses that, making it too sanitized and almost fantastical. Like in the movie, anything cartoony and fantastical is pretty much delegated to a few sequences of Ralphie fantasizing. And while many of those scenes are adapted into musical numbers here, there are also numbers centered around other characters' fantasies. Plus the narrator, played by Matthew Broderick, appears on camera here, so he's like standing in Ralphie's house narrating it.
Higbee's. The high water mark of the pre-Christmas season was always the unveiling of the window at Higbee's department store.
Overall, this just feels like less sincere of a reality than the one in the movie. Like the most authentically human this special ever feels is when, as a result of being a live show, some lines get flubbed.
Dust covering ground and winding street.
Also, the kids in the '83 movie curse a realistic amount, right?
A crummy commercial? Son of a bitch.
Whereas here, a kid gets cut off before he can say nuts.
They know that you don't have the guts. Said you wait every day to get kicked in the nose.
Really? Nuts? I'm pretty sure you're allowed to say nuts on network TV, right? Luckily, I did eventually get to hear the kid playing Ralphie here swear when he was later on one of my favorite shows, Gen V.
Yeah, I still got a dick like a hairless caterpillar. Fuck my life.
He's fine in this, but some of the adult casting choices here are a little confusing. Matthew Broderick as the narrator doesn't really sound anything like Gene Shepard. There are a few SNL alum as well as Ken Jeong who are all kind of wasted. And then there's the dad. So the dad in the original movie is a good guy, but still enough of like a grouchy old school dad that Ralphie is legitimately afraid of getting in trouble with him. Meanwhile, this actor I think would be better suited as playing like a fun dad.
What's wrong?
Daddy's gonna kill Ralphie.
Like you're saying that about this guy, the literal voice of Mickey Mouse?
Oh, thanks a lot.
They change it so when they're at the Chinese restaurant, they're sung to in perfect English, to which the dad reacts like this.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that. What were you expecting?
I don't know.
Pretty funny. Then there's some added narration at the end where adult Ralphie reflects more on his parents and the fact that it was really his dad who bought him the BB gun. I'm just gonna read it so I don't have to play too long an audio clip. Back in those days, your parents didn't say I love you very often. You were there and they took care of you. It was their job to raise you and it was your job to let them. When they said don't run with scissors or button your coat or you'll shoot your eye out, maybe even they didn't know it, but that's what it was. Love. That night, next to me in the darkness lay my cold blue steel beauty, the greatest Christmas gift I had ever received. Are you kidding me? My old man, my dad, he gave it to me. That's why it was the greatest gift I would ever receive. That's some good stuff. So good that I was surprised to learn on my rewatch for this video that it wasn't in the original movie or written by Gene Shepard. So yeah, ending with that combined with my fond memories of being in a production of this myself left me with an overall positive feeling about this special. Nowhere near as good as the movie, but still cute. With that, let's now fast forward in the life of Ralphie Parker to the summer following that legendary Christmas with 1994's My Summer Story, which was released in theaters as It Runs in the Family before being retitled on its home release to more clearly tie it to the original film. But am I crazy, or would the best title to do that not be My Summer Story, but A Summer Story? A Christmas story, a summer story. How'd they mess that up? You could argue this is the most authentic sequel to the original film, as not only does Gene Shepard return to write and narrate, but the original film's director Bob Clark returns as well. Now obviously, taking place only 6 months after the original, but being released over a decade later, all the characters had to be recast. Except for Teddy Moore as Ralphie's teacher, Miss Shields. She actually reprises her role 10 years later. Can you believe it? This is definitely the most useful information you could be absorbing into your brain right now. In the new cast, though, is a young Kieran Culkin as Ralphie. At the time, he was probably thinking, I'll show you, Macaulay. I'm gonna be the face of a Christmas-adjacent family movie franchise too, only for it to flop. I think Kieran won in the end, though. Also, I know I probably could have made a good joke about his character in Succession, but I haven't watched that show yet. I've been too busy watching shit like My Summer Story for all of you. To be clear, it's not that bad. My biggest complaint is just that all of Ralphie's fantasy sequences from the first movie are absent here. I guess he grew out of them in the 6 months since then. But to sort of make up for that, the plot itself feels a lot more sensational in this one. Like I said, pretty much everything that happens in the original movie outside of Ralphie's fantasy sequences are believable, realistic events for a kid to experience. Meanwhile here, Ralphie's dad is having like a prank war with the hillbilly neighbors. His mom has a subplot that culminates in an entire movie theater pelting an employee with gravy boats and her doing jail time. Then like after Ralphie destroyed the reputation of Scut Farkus in the original movie, a new bully has since filled the neighborhood power vacuum, and this kid might give an even funnier performance than the bully in the original.
I don't know, love. I do have a new top. Ooh, a new top. Let's see it.
But him and Ralphie ultimately end up having a duel of tops that results in a tie when both continue to spin as they disappear into the sewer. Like, nothing like that's ever happened to me. Just overall, it has a less universally relatable plot than the original movie, and as a result, is less entertaining to me. Unfortunately, one thing from the original movie it was able to recapture is its racial sensitivity, as Ralphie buys his spinning top from this Romani woman.
This is what you need.
A gypsy top. I swear a heavenly chord echoed through the tent.
She said gypsy top. And just it done.
So overall, this movie was pretty forgettable to me. Some cute, realistic family interactions, but that's about it. Now let's rewind in real life to a few years before the release of this movie to 1988, when a television movie titled Olly Hopnoodle's Haven of Bliss aired, featuring a 14-year-old Ralphie played by future star of Kangaroo Jack, Jerry O'Connell. Gene Shepard writes and narrates, but this one, This one's boring too. It's kind of advertised as like a family road trip movie, but that doesn't even happen until the final act. Leading up to that, there's a plot about the family's dog Fuzzhead going missing. Rip to their dog Barkley from the previous movie, I guess. She's found living with a rich family, and we're told at the end that after briefly living in luxury, she was never the same again.
Fuzzhead was left with only her memories.
Kind of funny. Ralphie and his friends Flick and Schwartz, who actually appear in every single one of these movies, but the three of them get a miserable summer job hauling machinery upstairs. Gene Shepard actually makes a cameo as their boss, and it gets to the point that the machinery starts to haunt Ralphie's dreams. I was a fan of that. Other than that, all I can say about this one is that I watched it. We then pick up with a 16-year-old Ralphie in the 2012 direct-to-DVD A Christmas Story 2. Now, as Gene Shepard passed away in 1999, this is one of 2 movies I watched that wasn't based on anything he wrote. This one was written by Nat Malden, who also actually narrates it, doing a much better Gene Shepard impression than Matthew Broderick did in the musical.
There it is. Our house on good old Cleveland Street. A few winters had passed and yet another one had come screaming over Lake Michigan in the middle of the night.
But for some reason, as of writing this video, the Wikipedia page for this movie says that it's narrated by Josh Radnor, fucking Ted from How I Met Your Mother.
Please save all your questions until the end of the lecture. Thank you.
It's not, nor does it even sound like him. I don't know how that happened. So in this one, the teenage Ralphie wants a car for Christmas, hoping it will impress a girl at school that he, really likes.
But still close enough to smell her lavender-scented shampoo. Someday, my beauty, there'll be a veil upon that hair, and I'll lift it so our lips can meet as they pronounce us man and wife.
But while admiring the car at the dealership, he damages it, so he has to scramble to make enough money to pay the dealer for the damages if he wants to avoid legal trouble. This one also just sucks so much. This is the worst one. 90% of it is just callbacks to the original. Remember in the original movie when Ralphie said, "Oh fudge," or wore silly pajamas, or Flick got his tongue stuck to something? Considering he is a teenage boy, I'm just glad all Flick tried to do was kiss that suction machine. But Ralphie, even out of nowhere, gets his dad a new leg lamp at the end of the movie.
Isn't it beautiful? It's beautiful!
Which really feels like it was just so they could put it on the movie's cover. Now, Ralphie does have cartoony fantasies again in this one, but considering Ralphie's a little older in this one, it's starting to get strange that he's having these vivid daydreams several times a week. What can I say? I'm never satisfied. Also, I doubt it's this actor's fault, but something about his performance here just bugged the fuck out of me. It's giving comic relief character in a Broadway musical.
Well, 1970 seems realistic.
1970 seems realistic.
I will join the Navy. I can join the Navy, or I can change my name and grow a beard.
I could join the Navy and grow a beard.
I hate it. They also gave Ralphie more of like a heart of gold in this one. Like he nobly tells off this one guy for stealing charity money.
Sir, that 5, it's not yours. Guy in the corner's collecting money.
And this mall Santa for being rude.
No. We should hold Santa to a higher standard. You're a disgrace to that uniform.
And at the end of the movie, after earning enough money to pay the dealer back, he instead uses it to take a homeless family out to dinner.
And I tried to get them to order the family special, but they all wanted a la carte, and you know how that adds up.
Which is nice for them, but it's also a really reckless move on Ralphie's part when he's in debt to someone. Not like the Ralphie in the original was overly selfish or anything. He just felt like a realistic, occasionally self-involved child. Not an overly righteous movie character like this virgin. In the end though, the dealer lets Ralphie off the hook as someone decided to buy the car with the damaged hood. And that someone turned out to be Ralphie's dad, who gifts his son the car Christmas morning, just in time for him to give a ride to the love interest, after she decided to dump her stupid jock boyfriend for Ralphie, the nice guy who will treat her right.
We talked the other day and sort of decided to go our separate ways. Well, I decided.
Next to nothing redeemable about this one. Next, Phantom on the Open Hearth, The Great American 4th of July and Other Disasters, and The Star-Crossed Romance of Josephine Koznowski are 3 stories about a teenage Ralphie Parker featured as episodes of the PBS anthology series American Playhouse. They aired in 1976, 82, and 85 respectively, meaning the first 2 actually aired before the Christmas Story movie came out. Phantom on the Open Hearth even features an earlier depiction of the leg lamp story. Though the dad doesn't say fragile, that seems to have been a movie edition.
It must be Italian.
But that's crazy. I wonder if anybody watched this on TV in 1976 and then got a strange sense of deja vu when they later watched the movie. It was refreshing that after the insufferable depiction of Ralphie in A Christmas Story 2, in this one they make him more of a cool 50s greaser type teenager.
Who are you gonna take to the prom, Axel Grease?
Oh, I don't know. I was thinking of a couple girls.
Yeah, I got a couple gals lined up that I'm thinking of taking to prom. In The Great American 4th of July, he's actually played by future star of Herbie Fully Loaded, Matt Dillon. Unfortunately, Ralphie still has a lot of horny fantasies about his female classmates in these. All 3 of these are about Ralphie interacting with girls, actually. In one, he wants to take like the popular girl to prom, but has to settle for a nerdier classmate instead, but they still end up having a good time, which is cute. In another, he's worried about a blind date he's agreed to go on as a favor to his friend Schwartz, but when the girl turns out to be beautiful, he realizes she's the one doing a favor.
Stop acting like a kid. I'm only on this dumb date to please my Aunt Emily.
I think I'm kind of funny. And then in the third one, I honestly don't remember, but he does get with a girl in it. I'm sorry, but I found all of these painfully dull for the most part. As depicted, none of these stories even seem that crazy or humorous to me. These specials mostly just feel like watching real people living a pretty mundane life. Maybe they're decent for when they were released and people's only other option for entertainment was going outside to play kick the can or whatever. But I've grown up with television shows that look like this, and this, and this. So when I flash back to when it was like this, it's gonna be kinda difficult to get through, sorry. Now, conveniently, the movie that takes place at the furthest point in Ralphie Parker's life is also the most recently released. And that would be A Christmas Story Christmas, which premiered in 2022 on HBO Max. Formerly Max, and then formerly to that, HBO Max again. And soon possibly just Netflix? I don't know. I'm scared. Now, while this one was obviously not able to have any creative input from Gene Shepard, it is notable for featuring pretty much the entire child cast of the original movie returning. Not only is Peter Billingsley back as an adult Ralphie, but also the actors who played his little brother Randy and his friends Flick and Schwartz, and even the first movie's bully Scut Farkus, who turned a corner after Ralphie humiliated him in childhood, becoming a cop.
I put all that garbage behind me. And look at me now. I'm one of the good guys.
Well, at first I was really surprised they were able to get all these guys back 40 years later, especially like Flick, Schwartz, and Randy, who don't seem to have acted much at all since they were kids. But then I thought about it and realized, why wouldn't they come back? Being in an HBO Max movie was probably such a cool thing for them to brag about to all their co-workers at the landscaping company or whatever. So this one follows Ralphie in his 40s, who is now married with 2 children, returning to his hometown of home in Indiana for Christmas after the death of his old man. And we watch him struggle to provide his kids with a Christmas as magical as the ones he feels his old man did for him growing up. Peter Billingsley also narrates this one, so we actually get to hear how close to Gene Shepard he ended up sounding as an adult. And you know, it's pretty close.
When you're a kid, all you want is the perfect Christmas gift. When you're a parent, all you want is for Christmas to be perfect.
It is a little weird though, because the original movie is obviously supposed to be adult Ralphie looking back on and narrating his childhood, whereas this movie is just adult Ralphie looking back on and narrating something that happened to adult Ralphie.
Ah, there it is. Our humble abode on the south side of the city. Just like I remember.
Like, how long after the events of this movie did the narration occur in that case? Also, despite being a grown-ass man now, Ralphie's cartoony fantasy sequences still persist. It also seems like they incorporated some characteristics of the real Gene Shepard into the fictional adult Ralphie, mainly that he's an aspiring writer. The whole movie, he's waiting to hear back from publishers about a science fiction manuscript that he's submitted to them, and one by one they all reject it. But ultimately, he does end up finding success as a writer from the extended obituary he wrote about his father, which of course ends up being the original Christmas story. The movie even closes with Peter Billingsley reading it as it dissolves into the original movie's opening narration by Shepard.
His quest to acquire the most coveted gift a 9-year-old could hope for.
The holy grail of Christmas gifts. The Red Ryder 200-shot range model air rifle.
Which is cool, I like that a lot. And I also agree with the advice I feel aspiring writers can glean from this. That you should probably start with something smaller and more personal before tackling like a sci-fi epic. Not for me though. My debut novel, Xander, Prism, and the Constellation Equation is gonna be an instant New York Times bestseller. Just you wait. I do, however, question how much A Christmas Story works as a tribute to his late father. It's mostly a story about Ralphie and his BB gun, with his father pretty firmly as a supporting character. Also, even though I know there was zero intention for this to be in continuity with A Christmas Story 2, I find it funny how in that movie, Ralphie's mom participates in Christmas caroling, whereas here, she hates carolers so much that she hides when they show up at the door. As probably the only person alive who's watched both of these movies, I feel I had to point out that discrepancy. Overall though, I'd say this is probably the second best movie in the Parker family saga. Again, a far cry from the original, but it had a couple chuckles, didn't rely too much on nostalgic callbacks, and told a relatable story of realizing the things that your parents made seem so easy when you were a child were actually really difficult. So, that's all of them. All 8 installments of the Christmas Story franchise. And despite many having their moments, I do find it interesting how none were able to come even close to the magic of that 1983 film. The creative team behind that one was just able to strike the perfect balance of realism, relatability, humor, and heart that none of the sequels quite could. In fact, I think I felt the spirit of A Christmas Story recaptured better in completely unrelated movies and series about childhood released in the preceding decades than I did any of its direct follow-ups. So I guess these are just more examples on the long list of sequels that aren't able to live up to their originals. I appreciate you listening to me talk about all these movies. I promise next time I'll be back to making fun of cringe TikToks or something. And, happy holidays. Look at me, 25 years old and so full of optimism. If only I had known that within a year of this I would smoke some bad salvia, the hallucinogenic effects of which would cause me to walk off the roof of my apartment building and lose the use of all my limbs. This would kill my burgeoning YouTube career as no one was willing to help me set up my tripod.